Studio
We're already getting in the
mods.
mood for it.
We're live. What's up, visual listeners? This week we're going to be talking about awful Twitter trolls begging their devs of their favorite games, being rude and awful to their favorite developers. But I don't know if it worked because we finally got a release date for God of War. This is the Replayer Podcast. What up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Replayer Podcast, featuring me, your host, Dan Morris. Also with me today is Patrick Sutherland.
What's up?
What's up? And we got Maria Kinnan.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This week, we were going to be talking about some slightly lesser gaming news going on. It's been a little bit of a quiet week. We might touch on some Fall Guys, some Cuphead. We're going to look at some of the awfulness that's been going around on Twitter. But first, the big news, everyone's mind is God of War. Finally, Ragnarok is upon us, coming November, release date.
Yeah.
I speak like Yoda. Yes, finally. All you people out there can stop crying and just shut the fuck up.
Whiny bitches.
Like, oh my God. Yeah, I've been getting tired of all the nastiness that's been going on the Twitters. But first, I want to talk hype for God of War Ragnarok. I'm of the mindset that the more I care about a game, the less I look at it. Like, I try to not look into the sun kind of thing, because I see like the initial trailer for God of War and I'm like, great, I'll come back to you when I know it's time. So I only just beat God of War 2018 last New Year's, finally. And it's great. Hopefully we can gush about what we love about God of War and why we're excited for Ragnarok.
Good
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Dan, I'm right there with you. While you say that, I've tried to remain in the dark about Ragnarok to the best of my ability, because I am excited for it. I adore the 2018 version and powered through that, within a week or so that it came out. Love it. And I'm a little bummed that this trailer happened to have, or this release date happened to come out when the the grossness, the vile of the internet community was at its peak,
Yeah.
because it kind of feels like you're rewarding bad behavior is
That
kind
was
of my
kind of
take
what
on
I
it.
was thinking.
Yeah, and I
I was
know it's like
ugh.
it's never what what the studio probably wanted to do. The studio they want our money right before Christmas. There's no reason that they're like holding this back from us. If it wasn't ready to go, it wasn't ready. They were going to tell us when it
But
was
it's
ready.
also, when they get a release date, people look at it like, oh, we got a release date because we complained. Power to the people. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, that wasn't the case at all. You're just a whiny bunch of bitches. Shut up. And all you're doing is you're just shitting on, you're just growing this toxic. Yeah, it's just like, no, it wasn't. They didn't release it because you were crying. They just released it because they were ready.
Well, I think that we can support that claim because shortly after the release date was announced, there was a follow-up from Bloomberg saying that this is the news that we were going to report last week, and we were told to wait. It was Jason Schreier reported on Bloomberg that they were actually going to publish a news article last week about the release date of God of War, and I didn't get the details exactly why, but first it was kind of shut down, or they were told to wait for one reason or another. And that's right around the time that all this awfulness came out. And I think it had to do with there was a rumored God of War State of Play that was supposed to drop that Thursday, and it didn't happen. And I think even Bloomberg was waiting for it, and that's why they had that article ready. They were going to drop the news after the State of Play aired. And then this is where all this ugliness on Twitter shows up. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk my excitement for God of War. It's one of those games that the first time I tried playing, I'm like, this is amazing. But for whatever reason, I got distracted from it. And I wasn't able to stick with it. And I came back to it finally. And I'm so happy I did. It's definitely one of like the best games ever made. There's so much behind the praise and so much behind the claims that everyone talks about, and it deserved its 10 out of 10 that it got in 2018. Do we think Ragnarok's going to be able to follow up with that? Is it going to meet those expectations?
I think it's going to meet the expectations of the original game. I think it's just going to be more of the original game with just a little bit more polished, to be honest. I don't think it's going to show us anything that we haven't already seen. I think it's just going to be, if you love God of War, you're going to love this one. If you don't love God of War, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to add to your experience, basically. Sure. But it's good. It's a good game. I like God of War. It's just, again, like you said, Dan, that it's a game that's so kind of long and in depth. I played it and then I just kind of drifted away from it because I was like, okay, this is too much to this game. So
when I returned to it, I didn't have those same issues. I actually was very hooked, and I played right through it over the course of a couple of days to the point where I'm like, okay, like the fact that I was able to focus and I'm like, made my way through the game. It was definitely a much more pleasant experience than I expected, because my first thoughts on it, my first experience that I had was kind of like, okay, this is cool, but Mario Odyssey is like super sweet. I'm gonna go play that. It's quite literally what happened. Is I was playing Mario Odyssey and I lost myself in Mario Odyssey back then, and that's what I ended up playing more than anything.
Did they come out at around the same time, or did you just get into? I don't remember when.
They were very close, at least. Like I had just gotten my Switch, because I got the Switch a little late, and then I got Mario Odyssey, and they definitely came out very near each other. And I can't say exactly. I'd have to go back and double check, because I think Mario Odyssey came out in 2017, and then God of War might have been shortly thereafter, or I got Odyssey around the same time. Anyways, Odyssey is a really long game. I probably spent more hours in Odyssey than I did in God of War. So I can't complain about length at that point.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what I want from Ragnarok. Like, because I'm worried that it's, I don't know. Like we need just a good story. Like the gameplay is there, but like, what else do I need? Do I need another weapon that changes things up? Do I need, what kind of mechanics are they going to introduce? That
are they going to pull the typical, like, I'm thinking at the beginning of God of War 3 when Kratos is fully souped up in a badass god, and then he gets knocked back down into Hades, and all of his powers get stripped from him.
I don't want that.
Yeah, that's essentially how any of these games work when they do a
Yeah,
sequel.
I hate when they
like,
do that.
we have to have a reason to take away your power, and it's like what like Metroid does too.
I
A
hate
lot
that.
of iterations.
I would rather have the enemies be more accustomed to my play style. Like, I don't know, they counter my dual blades better, or like a reason to have to switch between the two more often than we maybe had to in the first one, because you get your chaos blades, something like that. I can't remember what they're called. And then from there on out, there are reasons to switch back between the two, but if you're starting out the game with both of them, I want it to have to go back and forth more so than we did previously. I don't know, like what else? What do you want out of Ragnarok?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking story beats wise, more about Atreus and who he is and who he's going to become. And I don't know if I should get into spoilers, especially for anyone else who may have not completed the game and what you learn at the end of the game. I want to learn more about what happened to Kratos before. I don't think they're going to tell that story. That's not how they did the narrative for this game. So I doubt they'll do a lot of flashbacks or anything. But I like what we're seeing in the gameplay trailers. They're dipping so deep into the mythos, and I love that. I love the mythos of like the Greek mythology, the Viking mythology, the Valhalla, all that stuff. I eat that stuff up. So maybe when we start seeing like Thor, big Thor, chunky Thor, as he is, like that to me is probably the most realistic representation of actual Thor. Maybe you get Thor's hammer. Maybe you beat Thor.
Yeah,
you get
let
Mjolnir.
Let Odin be the one who you're really chasing. And
well,
then
that would be God of War 3 in a nutshell, where you're going after Zeus.
Yeah. But give me that hammer. Give me that hammer. I think that's what I want. We have an axe, but we need a
hammer,
a blunt weapon.
Yeah. You need those like holy shit moments, like oh my god, yeah. You need
that would be one. That would be one if we get that moment.
I will say, sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say I want more boss fights too. I feel like
boss fights are always good.
They occurred in 2018, but I loved. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but I just feel like the original run of game had a lot more of them.
Or they were just more memorable, maybe because like.
Well, did you? I mean, I'm sorry. I just remembered here too. Like you fight like the same like ogre type creature so many times in the most recent one too. Like I want like mid-level like enemy variety, and like I just have a memory of like either fighting the flying guys or like just your standard like ghouls a lot. And I think that if it felt like things were changing up a bit more, that would do a lot for me. That's all.
A little bit more variety in the enemy types then, and
please,
if they had more unique, like you said, mid-level bosses of like if you're fighting certain enemies in a village and they have like a captain, but that captain is this giant motherfucker that you have to fight, and he's actually difficult and hard to take down. Like you see him like he's fighting these like frogmen, you know, and like I remember getting to what is it in God of War 2018, when you go to the realm of the giants and there's the werewolf like monsters, and I'm like, oh shit, werewolves, you know, like that was a nice change up of the enemy types, and they were actually pretty challenging. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from, especially if you can incorporate the hammer, if you get the hammer as like a way to take on different types of enemies, much like you did with the axe and the chaos blades in the original.
I wonder if there's something cooler in Norse mythology that like the hammer feels too easy. I wonder if there's any other kind of like surprise moments that we think we're going hammer, and then all of a sudden maybe you get something else cool, you know, that we're just not thinking of right now. That becomes
I'm sure. I mean, if you dip back into like old God of War too, think about all the different items and weapons that Kratos got from the different gods as he killed them. You know, there was a lot of variety in those games where you would get like you'd pluck out like the one dude's eyes. Yeah, you get his eye. You get I can't remember their names now, but you get like the one dude's wings so that you can double jump and stuff. You get the Hercules' gauntlets. You know, like God of War 3 still so amazing. I went back and played that recently. It was such a good game. I'm like, fuck, I forgot how good this is. And that's the other thing is like God of War 3 was so grandiose in its scale and the way it presented it. And 2018 feels small compared to that because it's like that, it's that one shot camera that never stops. It doesn't quite have the scale feeling to it, but not for the worse. It's still awesome.
That being said, though, that at least it does feel like, you kind of dialed it back, and then there is room to go up again.
True.
We're not trying to top where 3 was. I feel like there's just a lot more room to go. But again, I don't, I hope that, that game, it comes out on launch day, November 9th, right? And I'm just blown away because I really don't know a whole lot. You just had to tell me more God of War. I was like, I'm in, sold.
Yeah.
Take my money, blah, blah, blah.
Which I had the thought too, where because I've been avoiding stuff for God of War, when I watched the new trailer they dropped the other day with the announcement of the release date, I think it was the first time I heard Atreus's new voice or his older voice. And I went, that doesn't sound right. Like it threw me off for some reason. I don't know why, but I have high hopes. I'm sure it's amazing.
I'm sure.
No reason to expect otherwise. I had my initial worries that because they decided that they're going to do a PS4 and a PS5 version, that it might hinder it, but I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. I'm sure the game's going to run great on both platforms, and there's not going to be any reason to worry.
Have you booted up? Well, were you playing God of War? I'm sorry, you said more recently, so you were playing on PS5?
I did play the PS5 upgrade.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. So I'm not worried about the fidelity of, how this new game looks on PS5 personally.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And even like Horizon Zero Dawn, or not Zero Dawn, but Forbidden West, the PS4, PS5 comparison is like, it's not too far off. They did a pretty good job of making it work.
I do just love when we finally get to that point in the console generation where we can just only focus on the new one. And I know people are still struggling to get them, get consoles in the first place. So I would understand why they wouldn't isolate the fan base like that. But I do just love when it's like, okay, this new thing is only meant for the latest and greatest tech.
Yeah. And we're getting a little bit more of that.
Do like a bit of exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's when I got my PS5. That was one of the things that I was like, I have a PS5. I want something for the PS5. I want something that's optimized for the greatest, sort of thing. So
let's justify this $500 purchase,
right? Yeah, I'm sitting on the fucking,
you know how we're gonna justify that $500 purchase? Pay $70 for a game you've already bought twice.
Yeah, throwing some shade.
A little bit,
just a little bit.
Yeah, because I'm in the same boat. Other than a few games, like I tell people all the time, there's no reason to have a PS5 unless you really want to play like these 2 or 3 games.
Returnal.
The Demon Souls for me. Like, I bought my PS5 for Demon Souls. Like Pat and I were right there. Like I remember having that conversation with Patrick about Demon Souls. I was like, wait, when's Demon Souls coming out? And he was like, oh, day 1. I'm like, damn it. It's like, oh, now I got to get a PS5 because I want to play Demon Souls. Like that was the thing. That was the seller for me. And then anyways, so the downside to this is the slew of just horrible, toxic garbage that's been out there lately on the Twitters and who knows where else. And it's not just God of War. It's not just Santa Monica Studios. But if you haven't seen this, there's been just some terrible, terrible stuff happening. Like, people were so distraught over not knowing the release date of God of War. They were harassing the developers. They were sending DMs. Some of those DMs had very explicit, horrible images of human body parts that no person wants to get randomly. And they're like, here you go. Tell me the God of War release date now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before, because they got the God of War release date, they're like, yeah,
if
I do this, it works. It's like, no, it doesn't work. It's just keyboard warriors, I
almost wish Sony was like, you know what? Since you did that, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah. We're going to put it back even more.
If only. But other things that I was talking about are along those lines, like Paris, who's a
Paris
kinda,
Lily.
Paris Lily. He also tweeted, saying like, you got to stop harassing game devs. There's been a lot of hateful, awful things on the Twitter Spaces as of late. Corey Balrog also was like, this is unacceptable that my team, my people are receiving this kind of garbage after one of the female developers had tweeted about receiving images of male orifices.
Genitalia.
I'll say it, dick pics. They just got blatant dick pics, and they were like, "You're welcome. Now tell me when the release date is." Corey Balrog quote on his Twitter is, "Are you fucking kidding me with this now? I cannot believe I even have to say this, but don't fucking send dick pics to anyone on this team or anyone in this industry for that matter. They are busting their ass to make something for you to enjoy. Show some fucking respect." And I praise Corey Balrog for saying those words. Like, hell yeah, that is just unacceptable. And I can't believe it.
Dan, I'm tired of us having this conversation. I just feel like you and I have, and then the whole team. But I just feel like we've talked about this so much. We're just like unnecessary hate in the gaming sphere. I don't know what it is about video games that attracts an audience that tends to skew that way. I
don't think it's just video games, but I just think it's people who can say stuff without any repercussions. They just get away with it because they can, and because of the days of social media now, people can just say what they want, and they can just personally like DM people and be like, "Hey, I hate you. I'm going to give you death threats," and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's fucking bullshit.
It's this world that we've come to with social media and the internet where people are of one of two minds. They either love something or they hate it. They have to be a hyperbole. They can't be anywhere in between.
They can't just be like, "Oh, I'm not too keen on this part, but I'll give it a shot."
Yeah. Or just like, whatever. Like, that's not for
don't
me.
Play it.
Again, I just have never felt so compelled. Like, and obviously, sending a dick pic to a game dev is on a whole nother level of gross. And like, just even like leaving a negative comment, like it doesn't do anything for me.
No.
And I think there's a difference between like expressing your viewpoints in a constructive way. I don't think that you should ever not give criticism to a company, especially company like it's all about money. It really is. But I just think that there's a manner in which you can deliver that needs to change, because you can have a problem with the way that things are going and a direction that a company's taking or what they're doing with a game, but don't, a personal attack.
Personally attack. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah. And it's probably more of an issue of like the human condition than anything, because this translates into so many other avenues of life. Like, think of like the gym mindset. Like, people are terrified to go to the gym because they're worried about what people think of them and their body, no matter what they look like. There's such a negative stereotype around, how people perceive you, and even like the shaming, like the body shaming, or, like the people will see someone who's overweight and they're at the gym, but they're trying to lose weight. But then they're like, well, look at this fat bastard over here. And it's like, good for them.
Yeah.
They're trying, at least, give them praise for trying. Don't crap on the person who's trying to be better. Don't crap on the person who's making something amazing. And that brings me back to the notion of the people who are okay doing this. I feel like are people who aren't creative.
They wouldn't, because they would understand.
Ambitious. Right. They're not creative. They're not ambitious. They're the people who do nothing but consume.
Yeah.
So they only have the stark opinion, but they don't have any empathy when it comes to, like, I can't imagine the pain and suffering that people go through to create these projects, as amazing as they are. And I can only imagine how hard that's got to be to get such horrible reception and or negative criticism, or like the devs that get death threats. You know,
Yeah.
It was Horizon, right? Their teams got death threats because of Horizon going to PC. Something like that.
It's like, grow up. Seriously, it's a game.
Like, just let people play.
Yeah, right.
Like, seriously. This also stems into another game, a classic that's returned after, Maria, you would
30
know,
years.
30 years. So we have Monkey Island coming back. One of
The
Maria's
most wholesome games of fucking history. This pissed me off so much. I wrote an article about it.
Tell me
Go
about
check it
it.
out on couchsoup.com. This game was my childhood. I wrote fanfic things about this. I got into drawing and shit because of this game. I fucking love this game. I never knew that this game was coming out until recently when Ron Gilbert said, by the way, guys, I'm making a new game after 30 fucking years. And he's included, if you watch the trailer, and if you haven't, if you don't know about the game, the trailer, they go back to the original 2 games. They bring back the voice cast. Like Rob Paulson and voice actors are doing all of our favorite characters and stuff. It's as wholesome as fuck. And they changed a different art style. This is the problem, is that they made an art style which is I'm not a fan of the direction that they went. It's very blocky. They look like cardboard cutouts. It's very Switch games. It's got that kind of very Devolver. It has that very feel to it. People have just been pissing on this to the point that they've actually been sending Ron Gilbert messages where they're saying, oh, how dare you and how are you doing this? To the point where he actually said, I'm no longer going to talk about this game online because I'm sick of it. You've taken the joy out of something that I've brought back after 30 years. And it just pisses you off because it's like the most wholesome thing that was in the works and such a passion project but because of the art style. And I think it was, I think it might be Neil Druckmann actually did a tweet, and it's not the one that's been showing. It's another one that he had a drawing he did, and he's like, I'm just pissed off because the art style wasn't like me. It's just because it's just, he chose a different art style. It's like Monkey Island is known for changing its art style. It's the games have changed so much over the years. It's kind of a tradition. So the game is not about the art style. The game is about the humor and the story and everything involved. But people can't look past that because they're just like, rah, 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 rah. It's just like, get up your own arsehole and shut up. And why don't you just play the game and enjoy it? After 30 years, he didn't have to bring it back, but he did. But you're just ruining it now. And now it's just been pissed on. I don't know, it pissed me off. There's a whole article about it. Go read it.
Yeah, check out Maria's article on Couch Soup about her ranting about this. It actually makes me think about something now is, what if Legend of Zelda Wind Waker came out nowadays? Like, oh my God, that game would have been destroyed by these horrible people. And it didn't get great reception initially, but oh my God, is that game so great? Like, the animation style grew on me so hard. And I know it's beloved now, but holy fuck, people would have been so nasty about it. But I do have the tweet here. I do want to quote this. So originally, Ron Gilbert had said that the return to Monkey Island, Ron Gilbert will no longer post about the game due to online abuse, that people were just slandering everything. And Neil Druckmann in response said, quote, wow, even wholesome adventure games, as you said, Maria, aren't safe from toxic fans who know better than the original creators. Ron and the team, you all keep making what you believe in. It looks gorgeous. I'm there day fucking one.
Yeah.
And again, like, praise to Neil Druckmann, supporting other creators. Like,
well, Neil Druckmann got his fair share of hate with his direction that he went for The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, and you have to understand that these people are creating the game. They have creative freedom. It's okay, yeah, it's a good idea to please the fans, but also these people are the creators. It's their game. They have the right to go wherever the fuck they want with it. So it's like, take it or leave it. You're never going to please everybody, but you shouldn't be pissing on people and sending them abuse to the point where you're just taking the joy out of it. It's a fucking game. Grow up. So people are scum. I fucking hate them. Yeah.
Yeah. I had something else I was going to touch on with that, and now I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Neil Druckmann also recently had shared some stuff in light of all of this. He had done a tweet where he was like, just so you guys know, I want to show some stuff. He had a bunch of screenshots of different messages and things that he had received during the development of The Last of Us 2. He was getting all sorts of hate messages. He was getting messages saying that he's like shoving, like the gay and trans stuff down people's throat. They were calling him out on his ethnicity, his background. Like, what the... Why? Like, so many people were just sending him so much hate. And it's like, if you're a fan of what this man does, why do you care?
Yeah.
And I don't understand the messaging when people have to like he's trying to tell an interesting and dramatic story with unique characters. If those characters don't fit within the diagram of what you see and perceive of life, that's unfortunate for you. But you can't assume that this is someone trying to shove this stuff down your throat. I remember seeing negative reviews for a game. This is a different game. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but it was purely because there was a gay relationship. Oh my God, it was Psychonauts. Psychonauts 2. Someone gave it a bad review, like a 1-star review, because they felt like they were being shoveled a homosexual narrative. When you don't even meet these characters until maybe 20 hours into the game, and it's very subtly hinted at that they are partners. But yeah, like, oh my God, get over yourself.
And I mean, it's you're fine to hate on something. You're fine to say, I don't like this, I don't agree with it, I don't whatever. But the line is drawn when you are personally attacking the people that are working on the game and sending them abuse and death threats and shit like that. It's like, it's a game, it's entertainment. You have no right to send people abuse over something because they chose a creative freedom.
Just because you can be anonymous on the internet doesn't give you the right to do
exactly
that.
That's what it is. It's a keyboard warrior. And if there was an option to punch somebody in the face for a computer monitor, they wouldn't do it. So
get on it, Elon Musk. A punch button.
Right. I want to just like a fucking fist that just comes out of the webcam.
Bam.
It just
Someone sitting there on their phone like
that's the thing. People say violence doesn't solve anything. Violence solves everything. Punch somebody in the face and they'll stop this shit. So you
heard it here first.
Right.
Did you get it all out, Maria? Did you get it all out?
Yeah, go for it.
Any other thoughts?
I don't have much more to say on that. Yeah. It bugs the heck out of me. I don't understand why you wouldn't let a creator create. And yeah, I just wish people were better to each other. And I'm tired of having to talk about this. Not like this with you guys, but just in general.
Just the narrative.
A keep repeating thing. Yeah.
Well, we can move on to some more positive.
Let's do that.
Notions to get away from all that awfulness that's plaguing the internet as of late. So in other better news, we've got some cool, fun things like Cuphead just recently got a new DLC. There's been some updates for Fall Guys, which is now on all platforms and is free to play. I know Mr. Patrick here wanted to discuss some of these. Where do you want to begin, sir?
Let's start with Cuphead because it's it's the more recent of the two. And Cuphead has just released the Delicious Last Course, which features a new character, Miss Chalice,
a female character.
Female.
How dare they?
How dare they?
You put the girl in Cup game?
Stop pushing an agenda down our throats.
Oh, girl cannot be Cup. Cup is boy. So the Delicious Last Course is an $8 DLC that is roughly 5 or 6 hours, or if you're me, probably 12 because that game is hard.
It's hard.
What I hear is, and what I've seen, I haven't played it myself. I'll just say that right now. It is more Cuphead, and more Cuphead is great.
Cuphead.
In preparation. for the DLC coming out. I did jump back into Cuphead. It's on Game Pass. I bought it previously, and then also if you haven't played Cuphead and you have Game Pass, it's there. Give it a try.
I think it's no longer on Game Pass because I actually went to try and revisit it, but it
on
wasn't
PC Game Pass.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I just re-downloaded it within the last week.
It wasn't on Xbox Game Pass then.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then I must have bought it then. I'm pretty darn sure I did. And so more Cuphead is a good thing. You know, the art is fantastic.
I love the art style.
I love the art style.
That rubber hose, the bouncing.
Yeah. And if you don't know, Cuphead is heavily inspired by like 1930s, 1940s cartoons.
Oh yeah.
And it's a what do you call that genre again? Like it's a lot of shooting. A lot of shooting.
Shmup.
Platform shooter.
Shmup.
Shmup?
Shoot 'em up.
Shoot 'em up.
Oh, shoot 'em up. Oh.
Yeah, it's a shmup.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a platforming shmup.
Yeah.
Because in like normal shmups, you're flying a plane or something, but you don't jump on stuff. So
right. There are plane levels too.
I know.
And so you're doing it's mostly boss fights plus these running gun levels where it's like you're just running from left to right and through a bunch of things. You can only take a few hits before you got to restart. So it's a game that you need to be patient with and know that you're going to fail a bunch before you finally get the exhilaration of I got him. It gives you little checkpoints after you die. It'll say like you were halfway through this fight. And like, you know, a good run through a boss only takes you a couple minutes. So like it's frustrating to have to restart, but you're not heading back into a 12-minute 30 like whatever, you know, like I feel like if you do your run right, it's only going to take you a couple of minutes. So that as far as I've seen of other people play this new DLC, I've seen the first couple of bosses. That seems to be the case still. It gives you a time to complete. And you're also given a grade based on your ability to parry and use all your super moves and stuff like that. So anyways, I just wanted to give a shout out to Cuphead because I think that if you enjoy a challenge, it's just a great game to try if you haven't.
It's definitely one of those games that I did try it when it came out and I was like, man, this is hard. I think I beat maybe the first two bosses and then stopped. But I definitely would like to try and revisit this maybe with a friend because I feel like it's more fun to play with a friend. Because you kind of like fuel each other maybe. You do like challenging games though, so
I know what you're saying, and I find it just maybe the way my brain works with my eyes. I find it so chaotic if there's a second character jumping around and also shooting things.
Fair.
You have the ability to revive your friend. So
this is sounding awfully familiar, Maria.
Is that right? We'll have to dive into that, but a couple more things real quick. You can bring your friend back in. But there also is, and I just can't remember if this was a new feature from the last time I played or not. But as I'm jumping back into the game, I can see that it has essentially a regular mode for the boss levels or for all the levels, or it has like a simple mode. So it does have at least two different difficulties now. If whether or not that's new again, apologize, I don't remember. But if you maybe feel like the main one is a little too tough, you know, there's a simple mode. And what this new character adds is a couple different power-ups, like different ways that you can shoot your gun. You know, it's like you have a straight blaster, you know, ahead of you, but there's also a new one that has like a homing missile, and so it lets you focus on the platforming aspects, which is like it, and which you do less damage with this homing missile, but it gives you more time to like, you don't have to worry about where you're aiming because the bosses are moving up, down. It's not just straight across from you. You have to like angle them sometimes. So in a way, I think it might make it more accessible with this new character that you could go back and play the whole game through.
Is she the only one that has the homing ability, or
no,
is it?
You can play with anybody. Okay. Yeah, you can be boy and have homing.
Have boy. Only girl get homing.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm sorry. I think that's really it for me on Cuphead, but it looks great. I have to be really selective with what I spend my money on. So in my head, I am going to reward myself with the DLC once I actually beat the game. Once I beat the game, which I'm like, I think I said like I'm like 80% through. I'm like, I think I'm on the last island. So at that point, that's when I might step in and
I've never played never played Cuphead, but it is a game that I'm kind of curious about, just for the art style. I really appreciate that they tried something different with this, that they went for something so wild with the art style. I just think it looks great. I fully support it. I'm like, I want more games to try and do stuff like this, you know?
It feels like magic. Like, how did they make that work as a video game?
Yeah, it looks like it's hand drawn as a video game.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is all hand drawn.
I think it is. Like they talked behind the scenes about some painstakingly just tough process.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It took them forever to make the initial game, and even this DLC has been in the works for a couple of years now. I think probably because they had to hand draw everything.
Fuck that. Sorry. I know the pain.
Yeah, but I was gonna bounce that off of like when you were describing the co-op. I was like, that sounds an awful lot like what Maria and I were just doing, where we played Returnal co-op for the first time, which only dropped. What was that? 3 months ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
It's really good.
It's super fun. Like, oh my god! Like, I'm really glad they did that. So, the original game is pretty damn challenging. It's really effing hard, and they added the ability to co-op the game, which I initially thought was only exclusive to this tower mode, where the tower mode is basically like a wave horde type of thing, where you kill a horde wave, you move up to the next tower, you kill a horde, you move to the next tower. I thought that's what the co-op was exclusive to, but it actually turns out that the co-op is for the actual main game that you can play through each of the biomes together. Yeah.
It's super good. I mean, it's just, we had so much fun with it. Like, Returnal was a hard as fuck game, but as co-op mode, same thing. I was thinking it was going to be just and kind of like what like Neo is, and like the Souls games are like, where you have to get an item to bring someone into the game, and then if they die, you have to find those items again. No, Returnal was just like, hey, sign in with a buddy and stay with them for the whole game. Like, me and Dan were playing for 3 hours, so yeah, it was so much fun.
Oh, we died plenty too. It's still challenging. They definitely scaled the difficulty, because it felt like when we're playing co-op, we were getting less health items, we were getting less pickups, less weapons. So there's a balance that still felt challenging. But it was like, it was just stupid fun to like face these challenges together with a friend.
Yeah.
Rather than the desolation of I'm alone, fuck me.
I got everywhere. I got so far and it meant nothing.
Yeah. So we were having fun with that. Anyways, we also were gonna touch on Fall Guys, correct?
Fall Guys.
That's another game I need to revisit, Fall Guys, because I haven't played it since it dropped on the PlayStation. What was that, 2 years ago?
Has it been that long?
It was 2020. It was 2020. I remember it was like I was streaming way more heavily, and it was pandemic times, and I was getting my crowns, and I was bossing up the Fall Guys field. I just recently hopped back into Fall Guys with the free-to-play aspect happening. Epic Games bought it from Media something. I can't remember what that company, this small company. And so Fall Guys, if you don't know, it's like like an obstacle course. Generally the point is to try to get to the end. And
what's that ridiculous show that was on like Spike, MXC?
Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Yeah, it's like a video game version of that.
It's like a
show.
Takeshi's Castle. Reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Yep, that's literally the same thing. That's the Japanese name for it, I think.
Yeah.
Or
MXC was like the American spoofed version.
It is a obstacle course battle royale, because 60 players start the game, and then the top 40 that finish move on to the next round, and so on and so on. And so the challenges get pretty diverse. And as someone who played the game 2 years ago for like 2 months straight, and then got burnt out, and then hadn't really played it at all since just recently, there is so much to do now. And it's cool because being part of Epic Games now, they've introduced cross-platform play and cross progression. And so I was able to bring all because I got the platinum trophy. I don't get a lot of platinum trophies, but I platinum Fall Guys. I won 5.
I was going to ask, did you get the infallible achievement trophy?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hard.
It's like 5 crowns in a row or something like that.
That's crazy.
I I don't know where my Fall Guys skills came from or
I was
where
just
they
hearing
went.
something about that too. They were saying that like less than 0.09% of players have that achievement / trophy.
I need to pull that up for myself at some point because I'm curious. But I promise you, I got the platinum for that game. And so you drop in, it's crazy. So the amount of changes that have happened since 2 years ago are really cool. And what they've done is that they've remixed, like they have the same levels still, but it's like every time you play, it's altered a little bit. Sometimes they'll just kind of add extra little things that, you know, at a certain point, at the height of my ability to play this game, I could play certain levels with my eyes closed because I just knew the perfect route that you could go and the timing of, you know, if this spinny fan is going this way, if I dive just to the corner of it, I'll get right by it just about every time.
Yeah.
And so it's doing things like, switching the direction of the fan, like just little mechanics on top of adding completely new levels that I haven't played before. I love this game. You know, it's epic gamified. So like, you know, of course there's like daily loot store,
like Fortnite
like
style
Fortnite. Exactly.
I love this. We're about to see they've added like exclusive content for Xbox, so you can get like a Master Chief skin for your Fallout guy, and I'm like,
Nice.
okay, I'm there for that.
I'm in.
Yeah. I can't remember. I just, when I joined back in, they were doing that, and I can't remember if I ended up actually doing enough to get that. They added all sorts of like custom games. It's like a great community game to play too, where you could just throw up your code and people can just join you. And it's
How are the servers now?
Okay, so
the servers were kind of rough in the beginning.
I didn't have that much trouble. I think it had like pretty standard early, like a couple days where it's like, things are wonky. We're a small game studio and we didn't expect this many people to want to play it. You know, it was free on PlayStation Plus when it first released. And I just don't think they realized how popular it would be. So the servers were tested. At this point, I have not had any issues. But I've played it now on Switch, on Xbox and PC, and it chugs on Switch. It works when it needs to, but then when you are like, let's say you finish the race and then you can like look at other players playing, they are a like slideshow.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you're still playing with people across all different platforms. So like, I'm impressed the Switch can do it at all. But it's, once I put it on my PC, it was like, I just
like, woo,
the difference was very noticeable is all I'm trying to say, you know? So I don't know. I'm back into it. I think that anytime anyone wants to play Fall Guys, I'm like, yeah, it's just dumb fun. It's dumb fun.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Good city fun.
Yeah. And in a world of such negativity, sometimes you just need some dumb fun, you know, to change the pace. So
my most recent memories of that game was having, I think, back-to-back games where I was second to last. I missed a crown by like a fraction of an inch twice in a row. And I remember one of those games too. I feel like I had actually entered the final circle or whatever, the finish line before the other guy, but it didn't give it to me. And I was like, rage.
Yeah.
I lost it. So anyways, it's fun. I got to revisit Fall Guys. I did reinstall it. I just haven't given it a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. So besides just custom games, they also have special playlists that are like there was a map called like a final stage that was one of my favorites when I was playing as much as I was, and it was called Hexagon. And you all start on these little platforms that disappear as you stay on them for too long. So you have like a second, and then you have to hop to the next one, and it's just like layers that go down. So you can like try to hop on as many as you can on one layer before there's none left, and then or like maybe you fall, you know, and then you're on the next one, and there's like, let's say like 6 layers or whatever.
They're really deep, right? Like you fall down to one section and then the next section.
Yep. And then, you know, then there's at the bottom, you know, there's just a pit that you fall into. So whoever can stay above the longest wins. There was like a special playlist that they're just swapping out where it's like it's only that game mode. So you have to win that like 4 times to
it was
to
like
actually win the crown.
in Call of Duty.
But they're just like on top of just like if you're playing the standard game, I think this was new too. They've added co-op. Like you can join, like instead of you just like competing with your friend, like you can essentially
Like a team thing.
get a team score. And so depending on like
Oh.
if you get in first place, let's say you get 50 points for your team. And then like all the way down to 60, it's just like a smaller number. So like your team gets an aggregate score. So I don't know. It's been fun. It's fun.
It
I
sounds
feel like
fun.
I'm rambling at this point, but
I'm curious to check out this team feature.
Yeah, that seems like
Yeah,
that could be something fun.
yeah,
All right.
I'll have
Well,
to make those plans off stream. But I want to
Yes.
play. I just want to play.
let's play. All right.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Anyways, I do want to touch on one last thing, and that is going to be Halo Infinite. I had brought up I mentioned the Spartan or the Master Chief armor for Fall Guys, and I want to touch on this just briefly. It's going to be a little bit of happiness / a little bit of salt, because they did just announce at 343 Studios 2 cool things happening. One, they just announced that they are going to be releasing a beta for the Halo Infinite campaign co-op, which I am super pumped for. I loved the Halo Infinite campaign. I thought it was super fun. I loved being in that world, and I can't wait to go back and try and do it co-op with some friends. Unfortunately, it's just a beta. It's only going to be limited. Like you can't, all your progress in the beta is not going to carry over, but hopefully this is a sign that they're going to release the full version in the near future. I know you had some other details on that. If you wanted to go over some of that, Patrick.
Yeah. So
You
this
still got
was
that
an article found on Game Informer, where it was pretty much the breakdown of a Halo Waypoint blog post, 343's Halo blog. So with lead software engineer Isaac Bender, where he stated that in regards to the way that this co-op will work, you can think of the system, in quotes, you can think of the system as creating a version of the world that's like the lowest common denominator of everyone's campaign progress. This way, no matter what you do, no one is completing missions out of order. So the writer, I'm sorry, for Game Informer goes on to say, since Halo Infinite unfolds in an open world, 343 confirms that players can tackle various locations separately, governed by a system called Area of Operations. This term refers to the maximum distance fire team members can stray from each other. Going too far triggers a warning to return to the team, or you'll die and respawn near everyone else. It's just a way of giving you a warning radius, because that game is so big, and so trying to figure out what they're going to do to keep people together. I think that's interesting. Players can redo missions thanks to a return to mission replay option, highlighting missions, displays.
I think that's a feature we definitely need. That is replay mission, because the current version, there's no replay mission, and that can be frustrating, especially if you're searching for like extras and clues and secrets and things.
Yeah, there were certain things that were only gated, I think, like certain skulls that can only be found, or collectibles that can be found in certain sections. So that is going to be really nice. There's one other important thing here too that I read. I just wanted to touch on. So in terms of how the game accounts for each player's individual campaign progress, just to see, like, because traditionally, like, you got to play on your friend's game, and then all the stuff that you earned in that one only go towards them. They're working on a way that essentially lets everybody actually keep the progress that they made. So in quotes here again from the dev, the way we are handling this is through something we internally refer to as no Spartan left behind. When players join the fire team and choose their save slots to play on, the game aggregates the state of all missions across those saves and sets up a world state in which any mission completed by all fire team members are marked as complete, while any missions not completed by all marked are as incomplete. So it just sounds like it's going to be able to try to talk between all your saves and see where you're at, and share some information across those two. So,
and that sounds just promising.
Yeah. And so again, it's too bad that in the beta it's not going to actually carry over. But
I hope they pull it off.
I have no reason to think they won't.
Well, it's taken them long enough. Part of my salt that I'll get to, but before the salt, I want to say there was another thing that they revealed that also sounds really cool. 343 is currently working on a build of the original Halo 2 demo from E3 2004. That level in that demo was never released. It was never part of the final game, and they're making a new version of it for the Halo 2 Anniversary Edition so that you can actually play that level. And I think that's just the coolest thing. to give us that nostalgia. Because I remember watching that E3 demo and getting super pumped, and I will never forget. Bet you can't stick it. Classic line that's not even in a game.
Not even in the game.
Not even
Maria,
in the game.
do you know what we're referring to with that one? Are you familiar
No.
with? Okay. I don't know how to state it anymore. That how cool this was at the time, and how just because it introduced the dual wielding for the first time.
Yes.
You know, we know how treacherous, you know, after playing the first Halo, how treacherous the energy swords are with Covenant, and Chief is surrounded by like 7 of them in like a small room, and you're just like, how is he going to get out of this? Or like, more importantly, how am I going to get out of this as the player? And it was so cool. It was, and I think
super
like,
exciting.
This is something they absolutely didn't need to do. And
oh my god, that trailer was such a hype, like, and it was gameplay mixed with the cutscenes, and when you're watching it, you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to do that. Oh shit, you can dual wield. Fuck, like the hype level was insane, like out of this world. And now they're actually building it. They're gonna make it happen. They're working with like modders to make it come to life, which is just I'm happy they're doing that. But I wish they could get their asses in gear and get more shit together on Halo Infinite's multiplayer, as well as the features that it's supposed to have. I'm glad co-op's finally coming. We're still missing Forge. We're still missing like a proper theater mode. I don't even think there is a theater mode. Multiplayer is missing so many things. I'll
happily re-download it once more stuff is there, but I've taken it off my hard drive for now because it was just
I still play it.
Dust.
Every once in a while. The multiplayer is still solid. It's still a fun time. I still enjoy it. It just sucks that there's so many features missing. Like, this was the chief complaint that me and my buddy, who are like the main, my Halo buddy, we were talking in chat the other day while we were playing, and every time you try to start a game and it starts looking for playlists, it'll give you a countdown and it'll start searching for a game. If you do anything, it cancels that search. Which in previous Halos, even all the way back to like Halo 2 and Halo 3, when you start searching for matches, you'd still be able to bring up like your menu. You'd still be able to go into like your Spartan customization screen. And that's something we desperately want for Infinite, to be able to like, let me go into my customization screen while it's looking for a game. Like, please. Yeah. Halo 5 did that out of the box. Why can't Halo Infinite? Anyways. I love Halo Infinite. It's got a lot of shit wrong with it, but it's such a fun game. Multiplayer is so much fun. It's there's never been a competitive multiplayer game that's gotten as much like excitement out of me when I'm playing it. Anyways, that's all I got.
We just want more reasons to love that game, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had so much fun with it, but just kind of stopped, and I couldn't tell you why. And it was like all my the friends that I was playing with too just kind of stopped, and we haven't ever talked about it, but it was like for like a week or two, it was like, oh, who's on Halo tonight, boys? Let's go. And then the boys go do other boys things. The boys left. Yeah.
The boys went back to playing Fortnite.
Well, we did do that actually.
Yeah. No, actually, I did fall off of it. To be fair, I did fall off of Halo for a while, and I went back to it. And it helped that I found some other friends that were in the mood, or they got into it. I kind of suckered Tyler into playing with me, and Tyler's never played Halo Infinite. The only Halo he's ever played was Reach, and I said, just download Infinite. And we ended up playing.
Child. We love him, but he's just a baby. He's just a baby.
But him and I got into playing Tactical Slayer, and that's all we did for like 3 hours straight was play Tactical Slayer. And I'm like, this is a good time. I'm having fun. And it was just, especially, I think I've said this on the podcast before, where the first time Tyler got a kill with a skewer, and his reaction was just pure gold of just the, like, that was so satisfying. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah. Well,
so good.
Here's to many moments like that. We want to keep playing these fun games.
I think I just put a lot of weight on Halo because I wanted to bring me back to the classic days of playing Halo 3 online with my friends. This is like long gone happy memories. I mean, I can still play Halo 3 online because of the Master Chief Collection, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, I understand that.
The same. Anyways, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this podcast for tonight. I have all the things that I need to say that I should be saying when I close out a podcast, and I'm vamping right now.
Do we want to plug
stuff? What are we plugging? We plugging your Couch Soup article, Maria?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I have my Monkey Island article is out today. You can go read that, leave a comment, rant with me, whatever. Don't give a shit. So you don't like it, so you don't agree. Don't give a fuck. Anyway, Saturday, I also have another article coming out. I played Postal Brain Damaged. The game is fucking insane.
It's
Go see
fucking
my-
mental.
It's fucking mental, mate.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's my Boomer Shooter review. There's a video review in there. It's going to be out Saturday. I go deep dive into the game, so go check out that article. You're gonna laugh. The game is fucking stupid, but I'm not going to give you my impressions of the game. But just go read it. It's hilarious.
Maybe we'll have you come back on after and have you give us your breakdown of the game.
Dive, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. And Patrick's article should be coming out pretty soon for V
Yeah,
Rising.
the article's written. That's all approved, ready to go. But the snafu is I'm working on doing my first video review, and I'm not an editor, and so naturally it takes a little bit longer than I'd like it to put out a product that we're all happy with that represents Couch Soup and ourselves.
Also, as well, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of Couch Soup is that none of us are professionals, but we're all given the chance and to pursue something we want to try and do. So. It's a good reason to come on board and be like, hey, I want to make shit. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Couch
I'm
Soup
not
is
trying
still
to
open to
deter anyone from
contributors.
it.
So
yeah,
but I'm just saying that it's definitely slowing me down for my
It's
own project.
hard.
So I've got a V Rising review and video review almost ready to go. And so friends, be on the lookout for that.
I need to play more V Rising. That's right. Anyways, thank you all for coming and hanging out with us this week for this episode of the Replayer Podcast. Be sure to catch us next week. We'll be back again Thursday night, 8 p.m. CST. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, suggestions, topics, whatever, you can reach us at the replayerpodcast@gmail.com. You can message me on Twitter via the Replayer Podcast Twitter or my personal Twitter. And be sure to check out our show on YouTube or Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you like listening. But you can also listen to us while you browse and read these wonderful articles on couchsoup.com. The trick is to just have two tabs open, because if you click away, then you stop listening to us. So thank you all for watching / listening. That's Patrick. That's Maria. I'm Dan. Thank you all. That's good night and game over.
Be good to each other.
Please, for God's sakes, be good to each other.
Fucking
Please.
be nice.
Don't
I
be
will punch
terrible.
you.